In this video, we're going to do something a little bit more advanced in creating what I'm going to call split rigs. But keep in mind, they don't have to be split, and you don't even have to follow along exactly the way I do this. This is just sort of a concept, and it's going to be a little bit more advanced. Now, in previous videos, we've already gone over how to load rigs, how to save rigs, where to download rigs from on the internet. We've gone over the XML file, and we've gone over how to create your own custom sets. All right, now we're going to do sort of like a split setup. We're going to do it a little bit differently than we did last time in the custom set video. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay. First, we'll pop into here. And actually what I'm going to do first here is, so the concept of this is maybe you have some spaces on your 11 rack that you never want to be used whenever you load up a rig file, you know, that XML file. So we're going to say A1 through A4, you never want to be changed. Okay. So you have it set up however you want. Let's go in here, save to 11 rack. And maybe this is your favorites, right? So my fave 1, put it on A1. Okay. 2, save it to 11 rack. Call this my fave. Okay. And do the rest of these here. Okay. So now we have our favorites, and these 4 banks are our favorites in this example, meaning we never want to change them. We always want to make sure we always have those 4 rigs on our 11 rack, or maybe you have this space here. These say maybe the first 4, the first 8 or whatever, that you're going to use for maybe testing purposes. So maybe you never want to actually load or save anything there because you just want to download rigs from the internet, or have the first 4 to be sort of like your work space where you work on a rig. Once you get it set up exactly how you want, then when you go to save to 11 rack, you choose a different slot. Okay, so that's sort of the concept and what I mean by a split custom rig. So we're gonna like skip A, and maybe do some in B, and then maybe skip some of these others and then do some more. So let's go ahead and get started here. We're gonna go as quick as possible here. Again, we've already gone over all the basic concepts. So let's go ahead and do this here. Actually, the first thing we need to do is save all rigs to computer. So we have our basic XML as we already know. So we're gonna call this, we'll just call it my rigs, and put that into downloads. Again, I wouldn't actually put this in downloads, but that's where I'm going to put it right now. So this is going to dump all 104 user rigs onto our computer. Okay, now we're done there. Let me put this on 1 there. Come back to our downloads folder. Here's my rigs. Awesome. That's all the rigs. Here's my fave rigs. And this is what we want here is our XML file. We're going to be in the XML file a lot. So let's go ahead. I just want to show you a couple concepts here first. So let's go ahead and open this up with code, and then we'll go on to doing the split rig there. So this is our file, and actually what I need to do, let me go and close this. I'm going to do a different one here. So what we're going to do here, let's go into self-made rigs, and we'll come down to something. Okay, this will work fine here. As long as I have load all rigs from computer, that's all I need. And let's actually pop into this one here. Open with code. And I've already explained how the XML works, so we're not going to go over that again here. One thing you can do, say you wanted to load all of these up real quick, but you don't want to overwrite A1, A2, A3, or A4. One thing you could do is, of course, load them all up one by one, or you can just pop into the XML and say you don't want to just delete these entries. You want to keep them there because, you know, maybe you want to go back to it later on and just pop into the XML document, and you want to know what was supposed to be in those spaces instead of actually deleting it, which we're going to delete in a minute. One thing you can do, I just want to make sure you're aware of this. I can change this to a lowercase a instead of a capital A, and that will completely ignore, okay, the lowercase will completely ignore that slot. So that's one thing you can do if you kind of want to skip over something, but you don't actually want to pull out the file it's referencing. So then you can always come back later on and change this back to, you know, a capital A if you want. So just to show this, make sure we save it, and then we'll come back to our 11 Rack Editor. And we'll go to load all rigs from computer and navigate to that location. And right here it is. Load all rigs from computer. This is what we want. So what we're going to do is go ahead and hit open. And that's going to dump all of the 104 patches there. But what it's going to also do is skip over A1, A2, A3, and A4. And that's because, as we know, lowercase means the factory rigs. And we can't do anything with the factory rigs. We cannot erase those just by changing it to a lowercase a1 or a lowercase a2. It's simply going to skip over those slots. And we are done. And as you can see, user right there. It just completely skipped over it. Now this is the XML file we just loaded and all of the rigs that we just loaded. Okay. So once again, you can see did not even touch A1, A2, A3, or A4, but we have the other ones in here. Okay. And then I have a bunch of unused here. That's how I used to do it. All right. Just because I wanted to provide all 104, but that's a little bit of history that you don't need to know about. Okay. So then later on, you could always come back into the XML file, change this back to capital A, capital A, capital A, and capital A. And then if we saved this and loaded all rigs from computer, then it would go ahead and overwrite A1, A2, A3, and A4. But we're not going to do that because you already know that's how it works. Okay. So let's go ahead and move on with the split part that I was talking about there. And for that, the first thing I'm going to need to do is load all rigs from computer. Let's head back to our downloads folder because we made that dump first. Always back up everything before you start doing anything. Okay. So we'll go ahead and open this up, let it dump all the patches. Okay. So there we go. We're back to exactly where we were. Of course, we never lost A1 through A4, but we have all this stuff back here where we left it in, I believe, the custom video, I believe. Okay, so now let's go ahead and get to the split part. And for that, we'll need, back here to our downloads, we're going to use this XML within here. But again, before you do that, always make a copy, a backup of it before you start messing around with stuff. So if I wanted this, which I don't, I would just drag it, say, into my G drives. As you can see, that would make a copy. One thing to take note of is if I try to copy something on the same drive, copy it into here, it's just going to move it. If I want to copy it down here somewhere, I have to hold my right mouse button, drag down, and then I could copy it here. And that would just create a copy of that, as you can see right there. So then you would have a copy, okay? I explained that in a previous video, not going into it here. So we have a copy here. Let's go and pop in here. This is the XML that we have loaded up and all the rigs that we have loaded up on our 11 rack right now. So let's go ahead and pop into the XML, open it with code. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to edit a little bit instead of simply loading up the rigs into the 11 rack like we did last time, which is the way I definitely prefer. Okay, where you can just load from computer everything into whatever slot you want, all right, into all of your slots, and then save that out. So that way the 11 rack is going to do all the XML for you. In this case, it would probably be easier. What we're going to do, as you're going to see in a minute, what we're going to do is going to be easier if you do this manually. Again, this is sort of advanced, but it's going to be kind of cool to do. Okay. So first thing we need to figure out is in this XML file, do we need to keep A1 through A4? We do not. There's no reason to have these rigs if we're always going to have them on the 11 rack. Now, again, you could keep them there and they would always reload, but just for argument's sake, let's just say we don't want them on there. Again, as we already showed, you can make it lowercase and it would just skip it. But what we're going to do is just get rid of it. So we're going to grab it by the opening patch tag. Okay. Down to the closing patch, opening patch, closing patch, opening, closing, opening, closing, all the way down to A4. Get rid of it. It's gone. Goodbye. Clean that up. So now we're going to start with B1. Now I don't want any of the rigs. Well, I don't want to say any, but I don't want a lot of the rigs that I have in here. Hell, let's just go ahead and get rid of all of them. I don't want any of these rigs. Hold on, Control, deselect my XML document, of course. Delete everything. Gone. Okay. So we're going to build this file sort of from scratch. All right, so what do we want on our 11 rack? Well, let's go over here to some rigs. And what do you say we grab some of these rigs? And what I'm going to do is open this with code as well. So now I have two. I'm going to go to split view here. And I can get rid of this one here. So now we're in split view. And what do I want? I want, let's just, let's see, B1, B2, B3, B4. Let's just make this easy on ourselves here at the beginning. And I want B1 through B4 to be these A as A rigs. And these exact ones. I'm just going to grab them all the way down to the closing tag of the B4 patch. And I can hit Control C. Of course, you can right click and copy. All right, but I'm going to do Control C. It's just easier, it's faster. And then we're just going to paste this code in over here. Again, by the opening patch for B1 all the way down to the closing patch of B4. Now, again, you can right click and paste, but I'm just going to do Control V. That pasted that code in for me. Great. And make sure you're pasting it into your right XML document. Ours is my rig, so this is correct. Now, as you probably remember, you have to have your rigs, the rigs that you want loaded, in the same exact folder as your XML document, right? That's got to be in there. So it's very important that we actually have those rigs in this folder. Otherwise, I run this XML, absolutely nothing is going to happen. Now, what can I do? Well, I could easily just grab all of these, throw them all in there, and it will simply ignore everything that's not in there. But we like to keep things a little bit cleaner than that, don't we? So we need those 4 rigs listed right here. So I'll go ahead and grab those and throw them in. We have 303, 305, 307, and 331. I'm just going to grab them and drop them over. Being that this is on a different hard drive, it will make a copy instead of actually moving them. If you're on the same hard drive, hold down your right mouse button, drag over, and hit copy. Otherwise, it will move them. Okay, so we have those in there. Awesome, pretty cool. We're done with this XML. Don't need it. We didn't change anything to that XML, so we're cool. All right, what do you say we add some more rigs manually in there? It's going to be a little more difficult this time. Let's go ahead and do open with code. And here it is right here. Again, I'm going to go back to split view and just get rid of this one here. Make sure we're on my rig XML. And what do you say we leave C1, C2, C3, and C4 as they are? But we can't do that, remember, because we got rid of those rigs. Now, of course, we can pull them back in, but what I'm going to do is say for some reason we always want C1 through, I don't know, say E4. We always want those to be whatever is already on the 11 rack because we always save our more favorite rigs there for whatever reason. All right, so let's go ahead and just go down to E4, all the way down to the closing patch. Let's hit backspace, and that's gone. Completely gone. So now we're starting at B1. Okay, and we get rid of this line. All the way down to B4, then we jump over to F. Okay, so what do you say we throw some rigs in here, starting at F1? And for this, instead of just grabbing exactly what was on F1 and copying the code completely, what do you say, well, I want this rig here. Say I want some of these rigs at the top, but they're A4, so I can't just copy the code over and paste it in because what would happen is it would actually load up at position A1 in the bank. I don't want that. I want it to load on F1. Well, this would actually probably be the easiest way is to just grab this and paste that in, which is what we're going to do. Or I could just grab the name, but that can be a little tough because you have to have these quotes because as we discussed, it's a literal string. Okay. The quotes aren't actually on the file. The quotes just mean that it's a literal string or a string literal if you want to be exact. So we'll just grab the opening bracket and the closing bracket, the tag at the closing file, copy this, and we'll just paste this in right here. Control V, there we go. And then we want this one, Control C right here. Control V. Again, you could type this in if you want. Right here, Control C. And we're on patch 3, Control V. And let's do, what the heck? Let's go down here and say we want this one here. And we'll grab this one, Control C. And we want that, it could be anywhere, but let's go ahead and put it on F4 just for, congruency's sake. And Control V. All right, again, our patches are closing off. Explained all that in the previous video. Now let's go ahead and grab those rigs and throw them into our bin here or our folder. And what I need is the DCMC 739. That's the bottom one. So just make sure that's over here. All right. And again, I copied that over. I didn't move it. And then we had the ones from up here. So we need 801, 802 of the ecstasy, 801, 802 of the ecstasy. So here's 801, 802. Just grab those, throw those over here. You can see them there. I have 2 monitors, by the way. And then we needed 803 of the DCM. So here's 803, and we'll copy that over here. All right, so we're building up our rig list here. Pretty cool. And this goes quicker if you're not sitting around having to, explain it. Okay, what else do we want in here? And we'll hop in here. What do you say we grab something from in here? Let's go ahead and get rid of that XML because we don't need it. Pop back in here. I'm going to open this with code. Once again, split view and then close the file that's over here. All right, what do you say we throw some of these over there for absolutely no reason? Now, actually, let's see. I kind of let's go from B3. I like these here. What we're going to do is something a little different this time. Again, just to show you all the options that you have. I like this patch here. So again, grab it from the opening tag of the patch. All right. I like this one, this, Brendan Small. I like that. I like this one. I like this one. And make sure I grab the closing patch. Okay. And say that's all I want from here. Actually, you know what? I might want this down here as well. I don't know. We'll look at that in a minute. This actually may be enough here. So I'll just grab this again down to, oh, heck, I don't know. Say right here again, get that closing patch. I'm going to go ahead and copy that, okay, to my clipboard. And I'm just going to leave the B1, B4, C1, whatever. Just remember, we already have stuff for B. We got rid of the C and the D and the E. But another thing we can do, let's just say this is the last bit of rigs that we want on our 11 rack. So what we'll do here is we ended at our Seppuku. Let's say we're going to leave G1 and G2 for absolutely no reason. And then everything below G3, we don't even care about. Everything below it. Let's just go ahead and get rid of it. All right. And again, only to the closing patch of Z4. Leave the closing patch list and the closing 11, because of course you need that because we have our patch list open here. And then of course we have 11 up there too, which is, containing all of the code blocks. So those have to close off. All right. Hit backspace there. And then since we already have this copied, I'll just hit Control V. We'll just paste that in. Now we can go ahead and clean this up ourselves. So what we'll do is we're going to leave G1 and G2 alone. Now we could go G3 here, but why? Let's say we want this to be, I don't know. This is going to be T1. This is going to be T4 for some reason. We're just skipping over the other ones and just letting them hang free. You know what I'm saying? And this will be Z1. This will be S4. Again, we're just doing this randomly just to show that you can do this. Obviously, you would have this in mind, before you start. I'm just showing you how you can edit your XML here. Okay. And this is going to be S3. Yeah, they don't have to be in order. Doesn't matter, man. Doesn't matter. It's all just code. Okay. Obviously, to make it easier to read, if you're a coder, you know that you would not do anything like this because it makes no sense, but you can do it. And this will be, I don't know. Let's make this V4. And our last one will make P1. All right. Very cool. Now, let me go ahead and save this. All right. And of course, the next step is to make sure our rigs are actually in this folder because we don't have those rigs in there. So we got to go ahead and pull those rigs in. All right. And we know they're in this folder here. So what do we need? We need our Bogner Creamy Drive. I think these are actually all alphabetical. I think. Again, I could actually just grab them all and throw them all in there and it would work just fine. But what we like to do is keep things tight, right? Okay. So let me actually move this over here just so I can read it all at once. We're going to start here. Broken Capricorn, Classic Rock, Crunch don't need that one. So we'll go ahead and shift click here. And I guess I can actually go ahead and grab these while I'm at it. Grab those two. The Brendan Small. So we have 6 items selected, and I believe that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're missing D Day. So right here, I'll just control click that one. All right, that's all of the rigs that we have here. Throw them into this folder. There we go. Now everything is in the same folder as our XML document. All right, close that. And we can actually close this too and make sure this is saved. We'll save it again just to make certain, which it is. Close. Okay, so now we're actually ready to load up our custom set. But before we do that, actually, let me go back into our downloads folder because that's where I just so happened to put that. And I'm going to go ahead and rename it. Okay, so we know there's 16 items in here, but one of those is the XML. So this is 15. So this is 15 split rigs 11R. You can rename the XML file. Does not affect anything, okay? There we go. 15 split rigs 11R. So now we know. You might give that a different name. Maybe this is a certain split setup that you want to use all the time. So you always have A1 through A4 free, and then you have the other spaces always free. So you can sort of leave your favorite rigs on your 11 rack without them, getting overwritten. All right, cool. There we go. And of course, you know how to zip that up, change the name of the folder, whatever, and upload that. So what do you say? We go ahead and we'll take a look here. What's on here? We already know what's on here. A bunch of dread rigs, right? And then all the way down to Z and then Made Texas Blue. All right, so just a bunch of dread rigs except for around C1 there. Okay, so that's what's on there now. So let's see if this works. Remember, we didn't even keep the lettering consistent. You know, we would have S somewhere up higher on our XML and Z higher and P lower and so on and so forth. So let's go ahead and load all rigs from computer. If you don't know how to do that, I already have a video on it. And hey, what do you know? It dropped us right into the correct folder, but just so you can see, there it is. There's our XML document. Open. Uh-oh. We missed one. Unable to load rig settings because the setting file was not found. Dread M2 B60. Okay, so you know what we did is we left some rigs on there, remember, instead of actually deleting them. So that's what will happen if you do that. Pop back in here. Very easy to do. Remember, we don't have any dread rigs in this folder. Okay. So I should have deleted those, which I'm sure you all were screaming at me when I say, remember when I said, we'll leave G1 and G2. I'm sure you were screaming at your monitor, hey, you got to delete those. But actually I did that on purpose just to show you, or maybe I didn't. I don't know. Okay. Boom. There we go. Gone. Look how easy that was to clean up. All right. Take a look at it again. It looks good to me. File, save. You have to save it. Otherwise it won't. It's still going to reference the old file. All right. Now I'm certain it's going to work. Grab it, open, there we go. It's loading the patches. Of course, it's going to be quicker loading all the patches because it's not loading 104. It's only loading, what was it, 15, I think, total. So as you can see, it didn't do anything to A1. You know, whenever you load a rig, even using load all rigs from computer, and whenever something on whatever bank changes, you'll get sort of an italicized lettering, right? You can see this is not even italicized because it didn't even touch A1. Okay, so we still have our favorites right here, or our testing area, whatever the hell you want to use it for. Go to B1, look at that. Pow, our A is A rigs. C, we didn't touch C. I don't think we touched D either, did we? No, not E. And then F, there they are. What did we do to G? Nothing, nothing. There we go. Nothing. K, I don't think we did anything with K. Down to M. In O, now remember P was like one of the last ones in the list. Did it drop it? Yes, it did, right there. Dropped it. Go on. I can actually select it for you if you want. See it on the 11 rack. Okay. So all of this is working just as it should. Go down to S. There we go. Where we loaded those. Right here. T. Remember we did T1 and T4. Nothing in U. V. I remember we did one there. This is sort of schizophrenic and sporadic, but this is sort of the point of this, just to show you the power of your XML. Okay. And there we go. So that loaded up exactly as we wanted it to. Now, of course, that makes no sense to do it, to do it that way. And it really doesn't make that much sense to do it if you just have, if you just have 15 rigs, it doesn't make that much sense to do it that way, because you could do it the way I told you to do last time, which is actually what I probably would have done. Instead of going into code and doing that manually, although it was pretty fast, and actually I probably would have done it this way myself. An easier and, a cleaner way to do it would be to actually come into the 11 rack, load from computer, choose each rig, by itself, open it up, save it to the 11 rack. And then once you get everything positioned as you want it, then make a full dump and then simply go in there and get rid of all the code that you don't need. Okay, that's the other way that you can do it. And that's the way we did it in the previous video. Okay, but I wanted to show you this, how you could really go in there and dig into your XML. All right, and how powerful that is. Again, P1 was at the bottom. P1 doesn't have to be up here. It doesn't have to be alphabetical. The computer and the 11 rack is still gonna, be able to find that patch. Again, names have to be exactly the same. But other than that, there's some tips there for you to create your own custom sets, your own custom, what I call split sets for the 11 rack. And you can do that with any rigs that you happen to download from the internet, either my site or the 11 rack presets website. Of course, you can do this with rigs that you make yourself. You adjust yourself, then save out, just, save them to the computer, or do it the previous way and load everything to the 11 rack first, and then save all rigs to computer. Let the 11 rack make your XML for you, and then go in there and just, get rid of everything that you don't need. Okay, so that is it for this video. More advanced ways to use that XML file that gets created whenever we do save all rigs to computer, and you can go in there and edit things manually, or again, as mentioned, load them to the 11 rack one by one, and then save everything out, and then go in and erase things. That's a couple different ways you can do it, and you can create custom sets, you can create custom split sets, you can leave certain areas blank all the time, so they don't get overwritten. You know, maybe you have A1 to A4 be your favorite rig. So no matter where you take your 11 rack and no matter what you load up, you always know you'll have your main 4 rigs or main 8 rigs or main 10 rigs, whatever you want. So it's just a really cool thing that you can also do with the 11 rack and the XML file. All right, so that is how you can create custom split sets for your Avid 11 rack, and also some more advanced options that you can use when editing that XML file manually for your Avid 11 rack.